up in
Please give a big NSA welcome for Victor Antonio.
Wait, no. I flew in from the Philippines. I'm tired, I'm jet lagged. Things ain't been going right. I didn't have to drive here to Orlando to give you a presentation for free. And you're gonna sit there and not give me a better welcome? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna walk back out the stage, and when I come back out, I want everybody on their feet with some noise. Are you with me? All right, let's do it again. What?
Please give a big NSA welcome for Victor Antonio.
All right. Come on, Eric. All right. I want to hear it from here. Right here. I know I got some love here. Come on, right here. Friends. Are we friends or not?
How many of us have them?
All right.
Friends.
All right. NSA, you guys ready? We're going to find out if you're ready. All right. Let me jump into this presentation. Now, I realize that I'm amongst the best of the best. Room is full of CSPs, right? The cognoscentes of conversation, the savants of selling, the pundits of positivity. I get it. So here's what I'm going to do. I figured out I had to do a wonderful presentation. I got to go next level with you guys. Give me my slide. So here it is. I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to do this presentation. Getting deals unstuck, how to get clients to commit. But guess what? I'm not going to do it. Why? Too easy. I'll slam dunk that presentation. Bam, 5 stars. It'd be an awesome presentation. You wouldn't be able to sleep at night. I'm not going to do it. So I said, well, maybe I should do this presentation. Wrote in my book called Sales Ex Machina, How Artificial Intelligence is Changing the World of Selling. I was talking about AI back in 2018 when everybody thought it was a brain supplement, right? But guess what? Not going to do that presentation either. Why? Too easy. I'd kill it. 5 stars. You love it. So then I said, maybe I should do this one. Sales excellence through influence. Yeah, I kind of felt that one a little bit. But see, with you, I have to go what? Next level, right? I can't do something basic. So I said, yeah, let's go with this one. But I wasn't happy. I was kind of sad. Something in here wasn't right. And then I'm on the airplane, and I'm watching this movie called Inception. Clap if you've seen the movie. Yeah, I love this movie. It's like a dream within a dream, right? A dream within a dream. And then somewhere out of the depths of my subconscious came the idea. I said, dang, well, maybe I can do a presentation within a presentation. That's next level, right? A presentation within a presentation. And I'm calling it, by the way, this is a world premiere just for you. I don't just do this for anybody. And then I decided to call it Preseption. Presentation in a presentation. Oh, it's going to be good. Here's how it works. I'm going to do that presentation, which I normally kill. But then I'm going to narrate my own presentation. Here's how it works. All right. I'm Victor's inner voice. Victor's inner voice. Call me the Viv. Now, I'll be here to tell you what happened and what will happen. So far, certain things have happened. He plays the cool video, right? Just trying to impress you. The boy's insecure. What can I say, right? Then you come out here, and he realizes that you gave him a cheesy presentation and applause, right? So he says, that's it, I'm done. Taking my basketball, leaving, right? So he goes back off stage, comes back out, you give him a better ovation. He's happy. I'm back. Childhood trauma, almost cured, right? And then he mentions 3 different presentations he could do, because he's gonna what? Kill it. So some of you are saying, really? He doesn't care. By the way, the reason he put the 3 presentations up there, shameless self-promotion of his other keynotes. Shameless, right? And then he tells you about this concept called the presentation within the presentation. And at this point, your mind should be going, oh, this might be interesting. It may be worth staying just a little longer. Now, it's time to actually pivot into the presentation. Pay close attention. Pay close attention to how Victor sets up his value proposition. By the way, he'll do this in the actual presentation. That'll tell you it's a value proposition. Let's go to the presentation. So years ago, I looked at the world of selling, and I figured out, did you know that 98% of all the books that are on Amazon are dedicated to how to sell? 3 categories. First category, strategic go-to-market strategies, how to get new customer, clear out white spaces. Second category, tactical, face-to-face, belly-to-belly conversations you have with your salespeople. Third category, books, psychological. Again, you're the best, you're the greatest, you can do it. But would you agree that today's client has changed? Would you agree that today's client is more knowledgeable, more demanding, more sophisticated, more cautious? Say, oh yeah. That was for Delatoro. Boom, right? Now, would you also agree that they're less gullible, less tolerant, less trusting, and less loyal? I didn't ask for that the second time. He only gets one. That's it. The answer is yes. So I asked myself a different question. I said, maybe I should just look at the other side of the equation. How do they buy? Right? So I asked myself, what motivates a buyer to make a buying decision? Number 2, how do they decide, right? How do they make a decision? Last but not least, are there moments in a conversation where you can nudge a client? We don't push, we what? Nudge, nudge. Now I know that that is a disturbing visual, but you won't forget it, right? So we don't push, we what? When Don Hudson talks about nudging, it just sounded so much more classy than mine, right? Now, so then, let me give you an idea of nudging, because we're all being nudged all day. Did you know when you walk into a store, like Target, big box store, you walk in, and they leave 10 feet of space in front of the door. They call that a transition zone. People need to orient themselves to go left or right. Which way do the majority of people go? Left, clap your hands. Right, clap your hands. Clap your hands if you just don't want to clap today. Cool. This side will be treated as hostile, right? So, the majority of people go to the right. Why? Yell it out. That's too obvious because they're right-handed. No, kind of. Here's what they did. They did a study, and they found out if they forced people to go right, they grab things off the shelf. If they forced them to go left, in another study, grab things with their left hand, and because we're dominant right hand, they force us to the right because your average cart size will be that much higher, which also means that the most valuable piece of real estate when you walk into a store is always off to the. Thank you for participating. Did you know that customers have velocity? If the aisle is narrow, you walk faster. By the way, you wouldn't walk like that. I get that, right? But if the aisle is wider, what happens? We slow down. Don't believe me? Go to the women's shoe section, the perfume section, they slow you down. Evil. How about this one? They did a study with resumes. They put one on the heavy clipboard and one on the light clipboard to see which one would get a call back. Which one do you think got more callbacks on the resume? Heavy or light? Heavy. Because what they found is that at a subconscious level, just the contact of something heavy basically sends to your brain, heavy equals what? Quality, right? A little rule of thumb, heuristic that we have. Wow. How about this one? Did you know that a client is more likely to say yes if you sit them in a soft chair, more likely to say no if you sit them in a hard chair? Why? Because when this goes numb, this goes dumb. Real easy. Now, listen carefully. Now, National Geographic did a study with popcorn. Now, I'm asking you to just yell out the answer. 2 options are presented. Which one do most people buy? The $3 popcorn or the $5 popcorn? Yell it out. The $3 popcorn. See, your brain is a risk mitigating machine. If it's not sure, it always default to the small one. So how can I get you to buy that 5? Should I tell you the feature, benefit, advantage, gain? No. I just pop in a what? A third one. And all of a sudden your brain, to mitigate risk, goes right to the middle. Too small, too big, just right. Don't believe me? Go to Starbucks, go to Wendy's. What do you think the biggest profit margin is? In the middle. Now, what if I can't add any more options, but I want you to buy the big popcorn? How can I nudge you? Use something called decoy effect, and you push them over like that. Here's what happens to your brain. It creates an attentional blindness. When you see something like that, what did your brain just say? For 50 cents more, I might as well just get the what? The big one. Now, I'm having fun with this, but if you're a speakers bureau and you want to nudge somebody to the higher end speakers, replace the popcorn with speakers. Put a low end speaker, I hate to say it that way, and then put 2 high end speakers, and they always drift to the high too. Yeah. Now, again, let me pause. All right, here's what's happening now. Victor, first of all, he set up his value proposition. They teach you how to sell. He teaches you how to buy. Awesome, right? Then he gave you 6 examples. Some of you were impressed. Some of you didn't care. Some of you were apathetic. Victor doesn't care, right? But now, Victor's about to give you the 7th power tool in the persuasion toolbox. Now listen carefully. You've all seen figure skating. Just say yes. You know what a triple axel is, right? Skater goes once, twice, 3 times, sticks the landing, continues the routine. Victor is about to do, to explain this concept, Victor is about to do something called, he made it up, a triple story axle. Yeah, be prepared. Back out. To help you understand the axles, Victor will actually signal each axle in the storyline. Now, all right, so there's something called the endowment effect. I can tell you what it is, but it's better just to give you the visual, all right? Now, you ever walk into a candy store, you want to buy, like say, some chocolates, right? Me, my jam, Raisinets. Chocolate Raisinets, you're my friend, you got Raisinets, right? So you walk in, you say, I'll take a pound of those bad boys. Here's what typically happens. There's a glass display. On top of that is an actual scale, almost at eye level, right? And they put a little bag on top. And then the guy begins to scoop. Shh. The LED, tick, 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 tick. Dopamine floods your brain. Excitement and anticipation, right? Shh. Tick, 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 tick. Yeah. And your brain is like, yeah, more, right? You're not there. And then final scoop. Shh. Tick, 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 tick. Pound, bag it up, I'm taking it home. That's scenario numero uno. Back over here. All right. Very few speakers incorporate sound effects and a little Spanish into their presentation. For my folks from Puerto Rico, I love you. Let's get back to the presentation. Right? So that was scenario number 1. Scenario number 2, same thing. I'll take a pound of those bad boys. Bag goes on top. And then he takes one big scoop. He goes over a pound, and then he scoops them out. And your brain says, wow, whiskey, tango, foxtrot. What? I'm not alone. Look, I want to make sure we're connecting here. You ever go to a buffet line and get a burger with fries, right? And they put the burger, then the guy starts doing this with the fries. He does this with the fries, and then he takes some of them off. And what does your brain do? Whoa, it's like a crime. Did you see that? See, here's what happened mentally to you. As soon as, these are fries. As soon as the fries hit the plate, your brain took mental ownership. You with me? As soon as the chocolate hit the back, I took mental ownership. Let me give you one more example. Now, I'm gonna split the room in 2. Base model, we'll give you the full loading. Now, look at this. On this side, if you were, let's say, I'll just say use you as 1. I'm gonna give you a car. Everybody gets a car. Oprah moment. Yay, right? Everybody gets a car. Back to the mic. Millennials, Gen Z, for you. There's this lady named Oprah Winfrey who gave away 350 Pontiacs and gave it to the whole audience. Reference. So you guys get the car. It's fully loaded. You can take out what you don't want. Everybody will have a price. We'll calculate an average price. Group over here, you get the base model. You can add what you want. Everybody will have a price, and then we'll calculate the average. Which group will have a higher one? Loaded or unloaded? Yell it out. Which will have a higher price? Loaded. Why? You get it, right? Because what happens is, once you've taken mental ownership of the car, every time you want to give up something, you're like, ooh, I might need that, right? Ooh, I might need that. But if you start out with the base model, you're like, ooh, do I need that? I don't need it, so people add less. This answers the question. When doing one proposal, not options, always start high and then work your way what? Down. You don't believe me? I know you want a real story. Now, I've been married 35 years. 4 different women, adding up all the years. Doesn't matter. It counts. It counts. Now, what's funny about that joke? First, my wife hates that joke. You guys over here had a good sense of humor. Like, ha, 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 ha. Funny, right? Over here, I felt the judgment. Not funny. Just not funny. One wife, 35 years. Now, my wife is from Minnesota. Yeah, for sure, you betcha, right? I got me a Germijan. That's a German Norwegian, for those of you who don't know, right? And so my wife says, we got to landscape the back. Now, married men only that have been married at least 10 years, clap. True survivors. Now, fellas, you know that when your wife gets an idea in her head, it's like a dog with a bone. She's not letting go. So I said to myself, what can I control? The illusion of control, but what can I control? And I said, look, all right, fine, we'll do it. But your budget, got a 1-acre property, $25,000. I told her just like that, authoritatively, $25,000. Here's what she said to me. Yeah. I said, no, I'm serious. Like she heard me, but she's not listening. She goes, yeah, like that, right? And so she finds a landscaping company, right? And I remember the guy comes over, and as a sales trainer, game recognizes game. Do you know what I mean? This dude walks in, and my brain is like, oh, because I can tell game, right? He's got the look, the whole thing, he's got the polish. And immediately, he knows where the center of power is. My wife, right? And then they become like instant best friends, like BFFs. And then they just kind of leave me and they walk out to the back by themselves. To give you a visual of what this looked like, they're like talking like this and designing, visioning, just doing the whole vision boarding, right? Oh my God, right here. There's so many things I can do with this right here. And I'm yelling at the guy. I said, dude. I said, look, because I know my wife won't listen. I said, dude, the budget is $25,000, just like that. What did he say? Yeah. Right? Same thing. I said, I'm serious. $25,000. And they're both like, right? And so they're designing, they're doing this and other thing. And the way it works is you pay $2,500. They'll do a design. And if you buy, they deduct that amount. If you don't, you keep the design, find another landscaper. A couple of weeks go by, something like that, and he shows up. And he's got that architect tube. You know what I mean with the drawing, with the CAD drawing? He walks in with the tube, right? And again, I'm torn. Just personal note, I'm torn sometimes. As a sales trainer, I'm like, dude, that's great strategy. Consumer, that's evil. I know what you're doing, stop. All right, so I'm like, love you, kind of don't, right? So he comes in, and he says, where would you like us to meet? I go, what about the living room? And then he does something quite unexpected. He nudges me and my wife around to the other side of the table. No, he nudged me like that, not my wife. To the other side of the table, right? Why? He doesn't want us looking at each other. He wants us looking at what? Yeah. And I remember I told my wife, I said, listen, my Germijan girlfriend, I said, look, you know Germans, right? They're like stoic. I said, I need you to be stoic. Poker face, show them nothing. I know salespeople. I train them. I know how they are. No matter what he says, no matter what he shows you, she goes, yeah, okay. No, I'm serious. Yeah, that whole thing, right? So, puts us around the table, and here's what's happening. He starts describing it. It is a tube right here. It's all in the presentation. He said, you know, when I saw your backyard, I said to myself, I have to put the best designers on this one. And we came up with just some concepts. We looked at some hydrangeas that I think when they flower, oh my God, we're gonna put camellias back there. We got some Japanese, and I'm like, and my brain is like, show it to me, show it to me, show it to me, right? And then, almost like poetry emoji, boom, he pops it, right? And then takes it out, and in one motion he does this, right in front of us. Lays it out. My wife looks, she goes, I go, no! The sales guy saw that, right? She took that breath, right? And I swear to you, I looked over across the table, and I think he winked at me. You know what I mean? He winked at me. And then he says, so then I look at the price, $45,000. So what? Dude, that's more than I expected to pay. Here's what he did. It was beautiful. He takes out his red pen, pops the cap for me. He said, why don't you go ahead and cross out what you don't want, and I'll recalculate the price. Man, it was like killing living creatures every time we crossed something out. $34,000 later, my wife is happy. Don't care what you say. But that's the power of the endowment. In other words, influence is everywhere. And are we all in sales, yes or no? Yes, we are. Ladies, if you're married, clap. Beautiful. Ladies, think back. Husband comes up to you. How you doing? What's your name? Where you from? Right? What's he doing, ladies? Selling. It's building rapport phase, right? Then he starts telling you about what he does for a living. Car he has, the house on the hill. Ladies, what's he doing? Selling, building credibility, right? And then he asks you, what type of music you like? And you say, I like country, like old school country, Loretta Lynn, Patsy Cline, Tanya Tucker, Delta Dawn. And what does he say? So do I. What is he doing, ladies? Selling. And then he asks you, what type of movies you like? You say, I like romantic comedies. Like, shut the front door. So do I. Ladies, what's he doing? Okay, some of you said lying. That's valid. That's valid. Fellas, you see a beautiful lady passing by. Nice shoes, beautiful outfit, jewelry, makeup, hair did just right. What's she doing? No, that's marketing. You got to know the difference. You got to know the difference, guys. That's why you get in trouble. Back to the mic. All right. That last joke was somewhat inappropriate. Victor regrets it, I can tell. Now, we're going to move into the sales phase. We've talked influence. Now, Victor's going to go into the sales part of the influence. Again, watch how Victor sets up his value proposition when it comes to selling. It's brilliant because I say so myself. Yeah. Now, in the world of selling, like many of you, I started out like, I got to read everything out there, right? So the first book I read was Strategic Selling. Yeah, read that book. I'm like, yeah, I'll sell strategically. Then they came out with the new strategic. So I'm like, got to read that book too, right? So I read that book. Then The Art of Selling. My man, Tom Hopkins, read that book, understood the art. Then Spin Selling, Situation, Problem, Implication, Need, Payoff. Read that. I had to learn how to ask good questions. My brain's getting bigger. I think I'm getting good at selling. On top of that, hope is not a strategy. 6 keys to winning the complex sales. Just because you know the 6 keys doesn't mean you've mastered them. So you got to buy what? That book just to make sure you master it, right? On top of that, you got to stay positive. Get some Brian Tracy. Get some Zigman in you. Get it here. Oh, now it's like fashion trends. It's not about conceptual selling. So you read that book, your brain gets bigger, and then they come out with a new conception. It's like, got to read that book too. On top of that, Jeffrey Gitomer, the self-proclaimed king of sales, comes out with the sales Bible. He then follows it up with this, the Little Red Book of Selling, 12.5 Principles of Selling. If the first one was the Bible, what does that make the second one? The New Testament. Keep up. Next, Mastering the technical sale. You read that. How winners sell. 21 proven strategies. Why 21? Seems like a lot to me. I don't need that many. Then Jill Conrad comes out with what I think is a seminal piece of work. I mean that seriously. Selling to big companies. Awesome book. Like it is, if you have not read the book, I highly recommend it. If you're going to sell to big companies, guess what you should also know how to do? Talk to influencers, also known as vetoes. Very important top officers. So you've read out this, but that's something's missing. Then the OG, the original gangster himself of sales, comes out with this book. Bam! The Cathcart man comes out. Give it up for Jim Cathcart. Give it up. That's my guy. By the way, when you look at the Mount Rushmore of sales trainers, that man's face is plastered on there. So Jim writes this book called Relationship Selling. But apparently, he didn't write it clear enough because somebody said, you know what? You got to read that book. And apparently, there's a limit to how much you can have a relationship with a customer because apparently there's an edge, right? Now, what if someone came along and took all these books and just plucked out the essential elements that are consistent throughout that? And what if that person would share it with you? Now listen carefully. I don't usually share this with just anybody, but I'm going to share it with you. For one reason only. Yeah, if you missed that. Now I know what you're thinking. Here it is. By the way, all these books are great. Look at this. Here is the universal sales formula. No matter what sales process you look at, there it is. Bam! At this point, I should get a ooh. Now, I feel, again, some skepticism over here. So you know what I did? I go validate my stuff. So I go over to ChatGPT. It says, what are the 3 universal sales elements of a sales process? Look what it says. According to the most interesting man in sales, Victor Antonio. If it's on ChatGPT, it must be right. Right? All right. Now, he threw in the ChatGPT just to be current, right? That's what he did, just to be current. All great books. So now, he's got to get into the formula, right? So now, here's where it starts getting interesting. Here we go. All right. First step in the formula, empathy. Do you empathize with your customers, yes or no? No, you don't. I'm going to put you to the test. Listen carefully. There's a fundamental difference between sympathy and empathy. Let me give you a visual so you'll never forget. You're on a cruise ship, deck of a boat, got your drink, right? Enjoying the sunset in all its glory. One of those beautiful moments. You're enjoying it. All of a sudden, some guy comes wobbling next to you, bounces into you, then bounces right off, and you're watching this guy as he meanders towards the edge of the boat. And he's just doing this, just meandering toward the edge of the boat, right? And then he gets to the edge of the boat. He grabs the banister, bends over the banister, and just starts puking. Blech. Just everything from last week and then some. Blech, right? And you stand there with your drink and you go, dang, that must hurt. That's sympathy. Now, if you put your drink down, you go over there, grab the banister, and then take your other hand, stick your finger out, and puke with them. That's empathy. Yeah. So, I know, the visuals are not right today. I understand that. I'll give you an example. Let me test your empathy. You know this company, Hyundai, right? Hyundai had a problem. Here was the problem. The brand was not known. Poor quality was the perception. Why weren't people buying? Yell it out. Cheap? Sympathizer. What do you got? Brand? No. Sympathizer. What do you got? NSA. They were worried about maintenance. What did Hyundai do? Somebody, for the love of NSA, what did they do? I kind of heard it. I'm going to give it to you. What they did is they understood what was holding them back, and they came out with this program. Remember that? 10-year, 100,000. First company to do that. Sales were good. Sales were going up. And then this happened. 2008. Now, sales are down. What's the client paying? Puke. Feel it. Feel their pain. Puke. Feel it. What is their pain? Puke. Blah. What is it? Get it out. Money? No, you sympathizers, you. What do you got? What? What? They lost it. All right. The brain center has been located right here. Right? The neocortex has been found right here. What happened was they were afraid of losing their job. So what did Hyundai do? What they did was implement a buyback program. Lose your job, we'll buy your car back. I'm joking about this, but listen carefully. What's happening is that they're reducing the anxiety. You want to understand sales in a simple gesture? Put your hands out like this. Come on. Put them out. In this hand, we have certainty. Come on, shake the hand. In this hand, we have anxiety. Yeah, my God, hey now. No, wait. Back to this. Let's get business here. Certainty and anxiety. If there's an equal amount of certainty and anxiety, clients won't buy. Our job is to what? Increase certainty and what? Reduce anxiety. There's your confidence margin. You with me? Say yes. Beautiful. By the way, look at the results. When they ended the program, less than 350 people actually used it. But look at these numbers. Doubled in sales. Sometimes it's not about selling, it's about what? De-risking or reducing the customer's anxiety to buy.
All right. This seems to be going well. I got 13 minutes. I don't know if I can do it, but I'm going to do my best. Now, Victor's going to go into the second part, was the educational piece. Pay attention again to how he sets this up. Victor will attempt, not a 3-story actual, but a multi-generational analogy. Yeah, a multi-generational analogy to bring all the generations into his example. Let's see how he does it.
Now, education. Now, most people never heard of Ernest Dichter. 1960, he wrote a book called The Strategy of Desire. In that book, he had that line. In order for people to buy, you have to make them constructively discontent. In other words, you have to make them constructively unhappy with what they have. Give you an example. Remember this, the record player. If you're a baby boomer, clap, right? There you go. Baby boomers, there were 3 record sizes, 33s, 45s. My people are in the house, right? So you were happy with your record player. Super happy. Once in a while, if you were like me, you cop a scratch. Chicka, chicka, yeah, if mother wasn't looking right. Or you play it backwards, see if Leonard Skinner was saying anything to you. All right? Please explain that to a millennial later on. All right? Now, we were happy. Then one came out. Who remembers? 8-track, right? So all of a sudden, music became portable for the first time. Bam, like a little sandwich, 8 songs, and music became portable. We became constructively discontent with our records, and now we went over to the 8-track, right? Now we're happy with the 8-track. Then what comes out? Yeah, smaller, 12 songs you can fast forward. Remember 8-track? You had to what? Listen to all 7 other songs to get back to your jam, right? So now you can fast forward, it's smaller. Everybody moved over to the cassette because they become constructively discontent. Now, what came out after that? Yes. Did everybody move over to the CD, yes or no? Not immediately. What they found is that people said, small, square, round, what's the diff? They just said, what's the difference? So that's when the marketing brains went to work. They say, how do we highlight that it's digital, not analog? And they would say something like this on the commercials back then. Today we have compact disc. It's high fidelity. What does that mean? Put in your tape. In the background, you'll hear, you won't hear that with a CD. That's high fidelity. First time I heard that, I grabbed a cassette because I'd never heard the what? So I went back there. You put it in, 45-degree angle, close it, hit the play button, and what do you hear? Yeah. And at that point, you can't unhear it anymore. So we became unhappy with the compact disc, and we moved over there. Now, how did they move us over to the iPods? 1,000 songs in your pocket. It's literally the brain center right here. And then, how'd they get rid of the iPod? Why have 2 devices when you can have what? And why put the music on your phone when you get what? In the cloud, right? Notice that they're making us constructively discontent and moving us over. So, let's put an example to this. Energy saving company comes to your house. They review your house, look at your HVAC, windows, your doors, and they come up with a list of ways that you can improve energy, right? And they hand you this list of things, that you can improve on to actually improve the efficiency on a clipboard. What type of clipboard? Just testing, right? And so what they found is when they did that, the close rate was 15%. Then they just tweaked the script. Here's what they said. Same thing, reviewed your house, here are all the places you can improve energy, and then they said something like this. If we add up all the energy inefficiencies, that would be the equivalent of having a hole the size of a basketball in your wall. And if you had a hole that big, wouldn't you want to fix it? Bam! Close rate 61%. Why? Because you can now hear the what? You refocus their attention. All right. Now, back here.
All right, we're getting close to the end here. Time's looking good. Now, the last piece is going to try to tie it all together in the equation, okay? Pay attention how he pulls it all together, but still sticks to landing. Here you go.
Okay. Now, so I got a UPS box, right? I got a UPS box, and I remember Sally tells me, Victor, you got to renew your contract. Every year, got to renew the contract. And I had that one, it's $220. Now, I said, Sally, how much is the smaller one? And she said, that's $160. Now, what is my brain thinking? Cheap, cheap, save some money, right? 60 bucks is 60 bucks. That's like 12 lattes at Starbucks. That's a real economy to me, right? And so she sees me leaning towards cheap, the 160, right? And she said, Victor, let me ask you a question. Now, let me pause this. When someone says, let me ask you a question, I guarantee you it's not going to go your way. So she said, but I know what she's going to say. I know what she's going to say. Victor, you want to stick with the big one. Bigger is better, easy access, more convenient. You don't have to pick up your mail as often. Mailbox won't get jammed, Victor. Letters won't get crushed. And Victor, it can handle big packages. That's what you want to keep the big one. That's not what she did. Sally said, Victor, let me ask you a question. To which I said, what? Not afraid of Sally. And then Sally said, I understand that you want to save 60 bucks, right? And you don't want to renew. But have you thought about this? If you change your mailbox, you'll have to change your address. To which I said, so what? She said, you also have to what? Might have packages, things that might be forwarded and lost. On top of that, Victor, you'll have to update your online accounts if you're using credit cards. On top of that, you'll have to update your website. Victor, on top of that, don't know if you have business cards, but you'll have to reprint those. Victor, on top of that, all your promotional material has to be updated. Last but not least, Victor, you'll have to contact all your clients to let them know your address has changed. Last question, Victor. How much time and money is that going to cost you? What do you think I said? Renew the contract, right? But notice what she did. I'm having fun, but notice what she did. See, I'm focused on saving 60 bucks, but through a series of questions, what did she do? Shift my focus to what I was really losing. See, the average salesperson practices what to say. The superior salesperson practices what to ask, because by asking, you can actually guide the conversation. So there it is. If I know how to empathize with a customer, understand their pain, puke with them, if I can educate them, give them insight, information beyond the obvious, and then I empower them with decision making, give them options, this is what sales is. Now,
Okay, 6 minutes, 45 seconds. He has to have one more story in his back pocket. I do. Now, this story is a good ending, and it should have the awe factor in it. That's what Victor's going for. I hope it works. Good luck, Victor. All right.
Now, anybody can learn how to influence people. So I'm at Starbucks. As you already know, if you give me some Raisinets and some Starbucks, a latte, I'm your friend for life, right? So I'm with my friend Ken. We're at Starbucks, minding our own business, having fun, conversation. 2 hours of conversation was great. I walk out the door and encounter this little guy. Yeah. Cub Scout, he's got all the stuff laid out, right? And he says this to me. He says, good morning. And I didn't see him there. I come out the door, I didn't see him. And I was like, good morning. Rule of reciprocity. Somebody says good morning, you say good morning back, right? And then he says this to me, how's your morning going? I'm like, what? 9-year-old asking me how my morning's going, right? And I was like, this is literally, I stumbled on this one, like, good. Yours? Mistake. He said this. He just said, okay, by the way, pure body language added to it. Okay, right? Would you like to buy something? And here's the genius part. To support Me. He didn't say support our organization. He said what? Support me. He understands. If it's more personal, it's more influential, right? And I was like, oh, you know what I'm thinking, right? Yeah, you know what I'm thinking. I said, okay. I looked for a minute, right? And I'll take one of these caramel popcorns, right? Caramel popcorns. And I asked him, a little bag like this, how much is it? What do you think it was? $15. I said, how much did it go? And he's like this, $15. I was like this little basketball player, right? Right? $15. I'm like, and then I said, wow, okay, and here's what I'm trying to get out, right? I said, do you take credit cards, right? I don't have any cash. You ever play that one on these little guys? Right? And then, because I'm hoping to get out of this thing, I'm trying to get the hook out of my mouth, right? And then he says this. My dad does. His father was standing off to the side. I looked at him, and he was almost embarrassed because he knew I was in, right? And you know when you just lose, right? You take the L, right? And so I said, all right, get out my credit card. I get out my credit card. I've accepted the loss. Father's right here, the little basketball player's right here, right? The credit card is in the air, giving it to the father, and as it moves towards his father's credit card machine, he says this, you should buy a second one. What? Oh, it was like, game on. Sales guy, game is on, right? I'm like, all right, here we go. And I just like, what? Like, what? It's like, what? He says this, didn't flinch, body language intact, straight up he said, you should buy a second one. But I mean, didn't flinch. He didn't flinch. And so I said, all right, at this point, I'm not going to give him the sale, but I will challenge him. I said, tell me. By the way, I didn't do that to him. That was up here. Yeah? I said, now why? Why would I want to buy a second one? Why? I said, I know I got him here. He said this, so you don't have to share. And I'm like, that was my, what? I had total cognitive dissonance, right? Like, what? And then he says this. He says, if you buy two, you can keep yours and then share the other one. At that point, I'm tapping out. I'm done. But this is what he said at the end. When I said, okay, he said, good call. Who does that? Who does that? All right, NSA, I want to end this on the right note. Everybody on their feet. I'm going to send you out here with a positive mindset. Come on, real quick, we got to do this. All right, repeat after me. Do what I do. I do this everywhere. Fingers up in the air. Do what I say. You know the deal. All right, I pledge allegiance to my thing. All right, just put your hands down. Don't sit down. Some of you seem confused, like, thang? Is he from Georgia? Yeah. By the way, there's a fundamental difference between a thing. Yeah. See, a thing is something you do. You don't really like doing it, but you do it anyway. And you know with a thing, you always have a what? A J-O-B, which I know you know what it stands for. Is a what? Just over broke, because that's what you'll always be when you do a thing. Now, if you're like me, and you love speaking, that's your what? Man, when you do your thing, it's like beautiful things begin to happen when you do your thing, right? Life is good. Les Brown said, if you do your thing, you get an MBA. That's a mega bank account. And I said, yeah, you with me on that? All right, fingers back up. Put them up. I'm watching you. Put them up. I pledge allegiance to my thing. I will rise above doing what I love. I will make that dough. Look how happy you got. I will make that dough doing what I know. And those who laugh, louder like you mean it, and those who laugh can kiss my assets. NSA, you've been wonderful. Thank you very much. Happy 50th. Thank you.